I 23M think my so 22F cheated on me with her boss 50s last night. I'm on mobile, so I apologize in advance for any typos and such. We've been together for just over a year and a half. Basically, I have reason to believe that my so cheated on me last night at a company event with her boss. This event had been planned for a couple of weeks, and she was very excited to pick out something sexy to wear to a company event. From what I gathered, it was expected that all employees from the company would be present at the event. She left for the event after work last night, and the last text I received from her was a couple of hours before it was supposed to start. She assured that she wouldn't stay too long and promised to let know when she was leaving. Given the inclement weather, requested this update to ensure her safety and make sure she wasn't involved in any accidents. After several hours had passed, I grew increasingly concerned as I hadn't heard anything from her. Feeling worried, I decided to reach out to her sister, who coincidentally is closely connected to my soul's boss. I sent a text asking if she had any news about my soul's whereabouts before or during the party. In response, her sister informed me that their boss had mentioned the party being canceled due to the inclement weather. Despite being aware that the party had been canceled due to the weather, I couldn't shake off my concerns, especially since I knew my soul had plans to go out to dinner with someone. Feeling a knot in my stomach, I grew increasingly nervous and decided to take a peek at her email to see if there were any clues about her whereabouts during that time. To my dismay, the first email that caught my attention was from her boss, who had forwarded her the reservation details for their upcoming Christmas party. In particular, their plans involved meeting up at a few bars located in a city an hour away, followed by a reservation at an extravagant restaurant for an intimate evening. Learning about these specific details, I couldn't ignore the sinking feeling that something was amiss. However, I realized that there was little I could reasonably do about it, so I chose to retire for the night. Around 1:30 a.m., I heard my soul stumbling around in the dark as she returned home, which led me to conclude that she had either consumed excessive alcohol or engaged in drug use with the person she had gone out with. When I woke up this morning, I discovered her clothes from the previous night strewn across the bathroom. I'm not proud of my actions, but I couldn't resist the urge to check her pockets for any clues. However, I found nothing of significance. What caught my attention, though, was the sight of her panties wedged beneath the rest of the clothing. As I picked them up, an unpleasant odor of sweat and intimacy filled the air. To make matters worse, they exhibited unmistakable signs of intimate residue and evident stains. Regrettably, this is the distressing reality of the situation we find ourselves in. Until now, I had never harbored any suspicions that she was unhappy or dissatisfied in our relationship. In fact, she frequently vented about her job, leading me to believe that everything was fine between us. It's disheartening to realize that my soul seemingly went out and engaged in intimate relations with her boss during a company event last night. Throughout our time together, there was no indication that she was ever dissatisfied or unhappy in our relationship. It seems that I needed a catalyst to gather the courage and take the necessary step, which is to end my relationship with her for cheating on me. I'm struggling to comprehend why she would engage in such behavior. I have always strived to be the best boyfriend I could be, providing unwavering support for her hobbies and career, and loving her wholeheartedly. The silver lining is that she is not on the lease, and I am not financially responsible for any of her bills. However, her belongings are scattered throughout our apartment, so the process of packing up will inevitably take some time. I have made the decision not to assist her with this task. In order to address the situation, I sent her a text acknowledging my awareness of what transpired last night. If she wishes to discuss it, her only opportunity will be during a meeting at a restaurant. I have set a specific time frame from 12 to 1 for our meeting at the restaurant. It's up to her whether she chooses to attend or not, and honestly, it doesn't make a difference to me anymore. Once that hour passes, I consider our relationship over and her officially evicted from our shared space. Here's the kicker. Her boss is the owner of the company, which I failed to mention earlier. This means involving HR is not a viable option since he is the HR department himself. It adds an unsettling layer to the situation. If she does show up for lunch, I will provide updates on the outcome. If she doesn't, I'll still keep you informed. Update. Wow, things took an unexpected turn. Regarding the lunch meeting, it didn't unfold as I had anticipated. I was prepared for a torrent of tears, perhaps some pleading or attempts at negotiation, but to my surprise, none of that happened. When she entered the restaurant, she appeared calm and composed. There was even a hint of pride in her demeanor as she took her seat. I gazed at her for a few moments before finally breaking the silence with a direct question. "Well, what do you have to say for yourself?" Her response caught me off guard and exceeded my expectations. In a nutshell, she confessed that she had cheated simply because she desired to do so. There was no elaborate explanation or justification, just a straightforward admission. She bluntly stated that things had grown monotonous between us, and she yearned for something new. Her exact words resonated with me. It got boring between us, and I wanted something different. I was fully aware of my actions. I inquired about her level of intoxication that night, and she openly admitted, "Yes, I did get drunk. In fact, it was the most intoxicated I have ever been in my entire life." Curious about her intentions, I asked if she had meant to harm me. She paused for a moment, then replied, "No, not intentionally." However, I suppose deep down, subconsciously, the answer might be yes. Wanting to understand the duration of our involvement, I asked how long this had been going on. She disclosed that we had engaged in intimate activities for the first time last night, but we had been casually involved since I began working there a year ago. I tried to process the information, feeling a mixture of emotions, but ultimately settled on a simple response. "Okay, I see." At that moment, I realized that she harbored a deep-seated vendetta for some unknown reason. The situation had become utterly pointless, and I urgently sought to remove myself from it before sustaining any further harm. My appetite had vanished, and I had no intention of finishing my meal. Leaning in closer, I made my ultimatum clear. "You have until tonight to remove all of your belongings from my premises. Otherwise, everything will be unceremoniously dumped on the curb, without exception." With that said, I promptly departed. Presently, I find myself at my workplace, trying to regain a sense of normalcy. It feels incredibly surreal to witness one of the fundamental pillars of my life crumble within a few short hours. Soon, the whirlwind of emotions will surge, and that's when the true roller coaster begins. Approximately a month ago, my wife betrayed our marital vows by engaging in an affair with her former boss, who had coincidentally left the company just a week prior. Our plans for that night were to attend a party downtown and subsequently spend the night at a nearby hotel. Due to the unavailability of our babysitter, I had to stay home to take care of our 5-year-old child. Despite the circumstances, my wife made the decision to attend the party alone and spend the night without me. Before she left for work that morning, I expressed my discomfort with her plan. Usually, I wouldn't have minded, but recent events had sparked a sense of unease within me over the past few days. Her reassurances that there was nothing to worry about didn't ease my concerns. A sudden jolt woke me up at 2:15 a.m., accompanied by a knot in the pit of my stomach. It struck me that she had recently turned off her phone, which should have raised a major red flag. Although I hadn't given it much thought initially, I decided to check her phone's location service. To my dismay, I discovered that she had turned it back on, revealing her presence at an apartment complex far away from the party location. She remained at the apartment complex until 9:00 a.m., the moment she arrived home. I confronted her about her actions. After initially attempting to deceive me with half-hearted lies, she eventually stopped denying the truth. She admitted that it was the first time she had engaged in such behavior, although there might have been some flirting in Oro, Alabama earlier in the week. Unfortunately, I will never truly know. It became clear that her actions were not a result of a fleeting drunken moment of weakness. Over the course of a few weeks, she had dedicated her thoughts and efforts to this decision. It was evident that she was resolute in her actions and indifferent to the potential consequences for our family. Our marriage, like any relationship, had its share of highs and lows, and I must admit that I haven't always been the best husband. However, I have never strayed from our commitment, and my love for her remains unwavering. Despite the challenges we faced, I firmly believe that with perseverance, we could have overcome our issues together. Based on my observations, it appears that she sought a hasty departure from a marriage and motherhood she perceived as suffocating. Perhaps she yearned for a contrasting and exhilarating existence. However, it turned out that her former employer had ulterior motives, seeking a clandestine affair rather than a genuine connection. He escorted her into a taxi, clad in her elegant evening gown, leaving her to endure the uncomfortable walk of shame back to her hotel. At 9 a.m., it was undoubtedly an embarrassing situation. Once she finally confessed her infidelity to me, she expressed remorse, claiming it was a regrettable mistake and affirming her desire to remain in our relationship. However, there was a potential complication. Her ex-boss might attempt to recruit her for the new company he works for. Considering her exceptional competence in her profession, I suspect his motivations would revolve more around using her to enhance his own image rather than offering genuine support. Their compatibility was questionable, to say the least. I made it explicitly clear to her that such a scenario was out of the question. It was inconceivable for her to be both in a relationship with me and continue working for the man she had betrayed her commitment with. I insisted that she must contact her ex-boss and firmly communicate that they were to sever all ties indefinitely. She displayed significant resistance towards this proposition. Undeniably, the prospective job offer held substantial potential for advancing her career. Rejecting the offer would entail a significant sacrifice, which made me comprehend the reasons behind her hesitancy. Seeking some additional time for contemplation, she requested a day or two. During this period, she paid a visit to her mother's residence for a few hours. Upon her return, she conveyed her decision to me, revealing that she had resolved to make the call and relinquish the career opportunity. What she didn't know was that I had access to her call records as I was in charge of the phone bills. As I reviewed the records, I noticed that she had engaged in an hour-long conversation with her boss while she claimed to be visiting her mother. However, I chose not to disclose my knowledge of this and instead prompted her to call her boss herself. During the call, she admitted that accepting the career opportunity had been a significant mistake and emphasized the need to sever all forms of communication with him. He expressed his understanding and assured her that he would respect her wishes, aligning perfectly with what I had hoped to hear. Later on, I inquired whether she had spoken with her boss, Annie, considering he had escorted her back to her hotel in a cab. Surprisingly, she confessed that she hadn't. Intrigued, I probed further, urging her to be honest. Eventually, she revealed that she had sent him a text merely checking on his recovery from the party. I confronted her with the knowledge that her previous statement was untrue, asserting that I was aware she had indeed spoken to him before returning from her mother's house. Determined to uncover the truth, I insisted on learning the purpose of the hour-long call. She reluctantly confessed that it was a discussion about what she intended to talk to him about later, specifically the breakup call with me. This revelation rendered the entire breakup call seemingly nonsensical and undermined its significance. I expressed my suspicion that she had called him in hopes of rekindling their relationship. Despite her stuttering and struggling to provide a plausible explanation for their lengthy conversation, she couldn't offer any substantial clarification. Eventually, she inadvertently revealed that he had actually told her, "You need to try and make it work with your husband." As I suspected, her intentions became clear. She had to contemplate the decision of rejecting the career opportunity because she needed to assess her options. Deep down, she desired to have both the job and the person she was infatuated with, if possible. This realization highlighted her preference and indicated that she wanted to explore the possibility of having both if circumstances allowed. If the option of having both was not attainable, she ultimately made the choice to prioritize being with her family over risking loneliness and uncertain job prospects. Eventually, I advised her to accept the job if it was offered to her, although I held doubts about the likelihood of her boss extending the offer. The prior intimate encounter between them increased the potential career risks associated with potential drama and repercussions. This series of events took place approximately a month ago. Since then, she has exemplified the role of a model wife. We have actively sought counseling together, and she has demonstrated unwavering commitment by fulfilling all my requests. She patiently tolerates my late-night discussions, doesn't complain when I prefer her not to sleep in our bedroom, and refrains from making it solely about her. It is evident that she genuinely desires to make our relationship work, and I genuinely believe her when she expresses her desire to be with me. However, I continue to struggle with the physical aspect of the infidelity, and it is challenging for me to come to terms with being the backup plan. My wounded pride plays a role in this, but a significant part of my concern stems from the uncertainty of our future together. It seems as though she has come to terms with her actions and is now enthusiastically focused on making the most of our relationship. But what lies ahead? I fear that she has merely settled for her current situation and is determined to make the best of it. However, I am concerned about the long-term implications of our situation. This leaves me with the pressing question of what course of action to take. Over the past month, my thoughts have been fluctuating between putting in the effort to mend our relationship and contemplating the possibility of asking her to leave. It is worth noting that if she does leave, it is highly likely that our child would stay with me. Fortunately, my work allows me the flexibility and opportunity to be a stay-at-home dad, a role that brings me joy and fulfillment. As a father, my strong inclination is to stay and make every effort to salvage our relationship. I firmly believe that children thrive in an environment where both parents love and respect each other. If there is even a slight possibility of rebuilding that love and respect in the long run, I don't think I can deprive my son of that opportunity. I am cautiously optimistic that with time, the intensity of my emotions will gradually subside. In summary, my wife, who is a doctor, had an affair with her boss. However, things didn't go as she had anticipated, and now she desires to repair our relationship. Here's a brief background. We have been married for 16 years and together for 20 years. We have 4 children aged 24, 17, and 7. I discovered her infidelity with a coworker in November 2016, and since then, we have made attempts to reconcile and rebuild our relationship. Those 2 years felt like a lost opportunity. In November 2018, my wife moved out, and it was in December of the same year that I discovered she was involved with her affair partner, AP, within a week of leaving me. The revelation came through a text message intended for him, but mistakenly sent to me. Despite the emotional turmoil, our divorce proceedings have been remarkably amicable. As a result, I retained possession of the house, my car, my Hartley, and my business. She solely seeks child support and nothing beyond that. Although we maintain a good friendship, I approach her statements with caution due to her tendency to lie. However, we have managed to excel at co-parenting our children. Today, she opted to work extra hours, so she asked if I could take care of our 7 and 10-year-old boys. I agreed without any hesitation. Upon getting into the car, my 7-year-old bombards me with a barrage of questions regarding my ex's new acquaintance. It turns out that the app and his 12-year-old son stayed over at my ex's residence last Friday. Shockingly, the app reportedly shared a bed with my ex. Furthermore, the app's 12-year-old son had a sleepover with my 7-year-old and disclosed to him that my dad and your mom are boyfriend and girlfriend. Understandably, this revelation left my child feeling perplexed and bewildered. In addition, the app's son also mentioned to my son that his father might become his new dad. As if that wasn't enough, my son started questioning why this man was sharing a bed with his mother. Furthermore, they spent the entire day on Saturday engaging in various family activities like shopping, going to the trampoline park, having lunch together, and more. This entire situation caught me completely off guard, and it became evident that my ex had failed to have a conversation with our son about these developments. My son had never met either of these individuals before, making this situation even more unsettling. I strongly believe that I shouldn't have to bear the responsibility of fixing my ex's mistakes, especially considering how inappropriate it was for the app to sleep in her bed. It's worth mentioning that neither of us is officially divorced yet, and the app is also not divorced. Now the question arises, how should I handle this delicate situation? My primary concern is my son, who is understandably confused, and I don't think it's fair for me to have to make up for his mother's poor choices. Background: we were married for 16 years and had been together for a total of 20 years. During that time, we had 3 children together. Unfortunately, I discovered my spouse's affair by hacking into her phone and reading the messages. It became evident that she had been involved in a romantic relationship with a coworker. Although she ended the affair and attempted to repair our marriage, our efforts were unsuccessful. We filed for divorce in October 2018, and shortly after, in November 2018, she moved out and promptly began seeing the individual she had the affair with, referred to as the app. The divorce was finalized in December 2019, and surprisingly, my ex continued her relationship with the app until just last week. Recently, she called me in tears, asking if I could once again take the kids overnight. Concerned, I inquired about what had happened and if she was okay. She responded by saying that karma had hit her hard. She went on to explain that she had a gut feeling that something was amiss, so she made the decision to go through the app's phone while he was in the shower. I discovered a substantial series of messages on Facebook, including explicit pictures, inappropriate conversations, and more, mirroring the way I had initially uncovered her affair. It's important to note that my ex is 39 years old, while the app is 52, and his new partner is a married individual who is just 28 years old. Now, don't get me wrong. A part of me felt a sense of vindication and wanted to rejoice at the fact that she experienced a similar situation. From the very beginning, I had expressed my concerns, warning her about the predatory nature of this man. Nevertheless, as I listened to her explanation, I realized that she was genuinely in love with this man, and a part of me felt sympathy towards her. It was ironic that on this day, she apologized to me more sincerely than she ever had for her past infidelity. She expressed deep remorse, acknowledging the pain she had caused me, saying things like, "I am so sorry for putting you through this, and I never realized the extent of the hurt I caused you." Her words carried a weight of genuine remorse and regret. I received her apologies with a sense of detachment, considering that I have moved on and found happiness in a new relationship. For the past 6 months, I have been dating someone who brings me joy. The purpose of sharing this post is to reassure everyone that even in the most challenging divorce situations, things will eventually fall into place. Sometimes, karma intervenes and provides a small sense of retribution. It's a reminder that life has a way of working itself out, bringing new opportunities and happiness, even after enduring difficult times. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you think about the story.